Hey, what is up guys, Asarai here and welcome back to the channel. So for this particular video, we're gonna start it well for the end of the year. I thought that with all of the changes that is happening right now in Valorant, it would be a good idea to make a quick tier list for you guys who just want to listen in and have my thoughts about certain agents in the game. And if you're beginners, I feel like this is a good idea to try to bring out to you so that you have some sort of thought process on who do you want to start out with in terms of agents. And again, even though Valorant is somewhat similar to Counter-Strike, there is still the agents, the specified abilities per character that you'd have to master. And if you're a beginner, especially in the tactical shooter genre, it might be a bit overwhelming. So I'm here to give you guys a bit of reprieve and insight into what I feel is great for beginners. Now, to separate what I feel is, just a generic tier list of, oh, this is good because of that ability, I'll put it in the thought process as well for you guys, just so that it's gonna make sense for those who might not be as versed in Valorant as others of veteran status in some sort of that way. So I got my notes here on my phone, and let's get into the video before my camera overheats. So, first and foremost, this tier list was made for players that are still learning. Valorant veterans might still learn a thing or two about this one though. So to remind everyone again, this is my personal opinions and should not be considered as the only list to follow. So if you've seen any other videos and you disagree with this one, that's totally fine. It's your prerogative, it's what you want to do, it's what you want to learn, it's what you want to play with. And again, in the end, it is just a game. We're all just living it to play Valorant. It's an awesome game. So I got two categories for you guys. So category number one is new to the game. Those new to the game that have not yet learned FPS and Valorant fundamentals in general. So to get started with that category, I'll give you 3 picks that I've already gotten for this particular category. So the first one is Sage. Sage is an incredible agent to get started with, especially if you're playing as basically anything. If you're wanting to be an entry fragger, if you're wanting to be a duelist, a supporter, Sage can fill all of those roles up, even if she's considered a sentinel because of her abilities. So equip the abilities that lets you focus on angle control with the slows that she has. She has a heal for when you make mistakes, when your teammate goes aggressive, they survive. You can get them back to almost full, which is great. And again, you won't feel the pressure of playing at low HP for the most part when you're at Sage, because I'm pretty sure a lot of us, when we take damage and we don't win a fight, we immediately just in the mental process just try to go back and just try to play as passive as we can so that we survive for much longer, which could be a good thing, but in some cases not actually, because you're losing map control, you're losing the presence that you would have in a certain angle, and that leaves you to lose the round, leaves your teammates vulnerable, and that's a no bueno. But Sage kind of covers that up with her heal ability, and of course with her resurrection. She's a really great agent to get started with if you want to get into it. Again, won't really get too much into all of the abilities, but just more of the thought process and what I think this agent gives to you mentally when you're playing into the game. The next one, and this goes into the theme of just having a lot of heals, has got to be Reyna. So Sage is the more laid-back, passive duelist. If you want to go balls-deep aggression when you're playing any match whatsoever, Reyna is a perfect fit for any player, especially if they want to learn the fundamentals of entry fragging, because of the fact that Reyna is considered a duelist. So she has a myriad of abilities that allow her to be that aggressive and rewards you if you're able to hit your shots, if you're able to get those kills. So if you can get a kill, you can either use her heal ability, which sucks up the life essence of a different agent. It makes it very easy for you to feel like, oh, I'm so good, because you were down to like 10 HP and now you're back to like 100, 150, which is amazing. And it really gives you that that mentality that that feel of snowball, where you could just like keep the momentum, the pressure rolling against opponents, and they can't really do too much against Reyna. Not only that, Reyna gives you, I think, one of the best flash abilities for beginners, which is the Leer. Now, Leer is an ability, it's a flash ability that blinds opponents but does not blind your teammates. And if you played, my phone almost fell. And if you played something like CS before, you know, when you throw your flashes, it works two ways. You either blind your opponents, or you can also blind your teammates if you're not careful. Same with some other abilities in Valorant, just as the other flash agents out there. But Reyna, you know, takes it a step further to make it more viable for you, where you only blind opponents at a certain distance. If you can see the eye, they're gonna get blinded. If your teammates see the eye, they will not get blinded. Really perfect for getting into those sites right then and there. And of course, just to kind of add up to all of that, her ultimate ability only needs like six charges to get into it, and it's basically an upgraded version of the dismiss/heal. So everything is built for Reyna, and you can just build yourself up for your team with her. So it's really, really strong. And here's another one. So I would say Sage and Reyna have somewhat a low risk, high reward style of play because of their abilities. This next one has, I would say, a medium risk, high reward style of play. And the next agent is gonna have to be Phoenix. Now, Phoenix, very strong agents that allow you to flush out corners with either flash or molly abilities. But here's the caveat to that. His flashes now blind your teammates, so you gotta be careful with that. His molly damages also your teammates, so you gotta be careful where you throw out these abilities, but it's really, really strong because it does help you to clear out corners while your teammates may be afraid to push into that. All you gotta do is communicate, tell them, guys, flash first, let me flash first, then we push in. You know, don't push in while the flash is out because you're gonna get blinded. And it's really good. He also has a wall. He's like a Swiss Army knife as an agent. Can really do a lot of things to get you vision, get you control, and his ultimate is a one-way ticket to opening up a site, to taking a certain angle control with that run it back, and only believe has 6 charges. So, and what's good about that as well is if you kill or die, you still get a charge as Phoenix. And I feel like Phoenix is one of those agents that just gets the charges really fast, and that means that you can always have your ultimate up in multiple instances of rounds. So that's really, really strong, especially if you're not that confident yet with your enter-fragging, if you're not as confident, say with Reyna, with getting that first kill, getting that heal, getting a reset quickly enough, Phoenix might be a better option for you. But again, he does have that mid-risk to high-reward vibe coming off of this particular agent. So that's my 3 agents for the new to the game category. The next one is unfamiliar to the role. So this one is gonna go to specifically the roles in Valorant, or the categories in Valorant, or the agent kinds in Valorant, excuse me. Duelist, Controller, Initiator, Sentinel. So we have, I believe, 1, 2, 3, 4 categories. So each of these categories, you'll just see it in the game anyways. It'll explain to you. You can just read something off of like Valorant Wiki or something to help you out with that. So I'll go about this real quick. For Duelist, I'm gonna go back to my option with Reyna. I know Jett is probably the staple duelist to have, but if you're still a beginner, if you're not really used to the Jett abilities, it could be a really bad spell for you, because Jett is safe, Jett is good, but she requires a lot of accuracy, guys, especially with her blades. So if you're not as versed with that, especially that they changed now her right click that doesn't get the reset if it gets kills, you might not be as good as a Jett, because you can dive into the fight. If you don't get a kill, you don't get the reset, you can't back away. So at least with Reyna, if you can get a kill first, that's when you can start moving. With Jett, you have to move in first, get a couple of kills, 2 particular, then start moving away, or get all the kills, wipe someone out. If not, you basically just put your teammates in a 4 versus 5, right? Next up, for controllers, the smoker players, I have been choosing between Brimstone, which is the big daddy boss of Valorant, to Omen, which is the grunge hardcore agent. And I have to default to Brimstone because of the fact that I feel like Brimstone, if you're a beginner, if you're still starting up, it's much easier to control his smoke setups with the iPad that he has on his wrist, to just drop it and you can drop it all together. So if you're still, managing how to use abilities, this is somewhat a more straightforward way, I would say, than Omen, who you still have to rely on that 3D space to figure out where to put. And if you're running out of time and you don't know where to put it after the first smoke, the second smoke, what happens after that? You build up a lot of time. You use too much of your effort to just put down the smokes rather than you pushing it into the site. I think Brimstone helps you a little bit more there. And the higher that you go in the ELO tier, the higher that you go in the ranking system, Brimstone is still, I think, a viable agent, especially with his molly and his orbital strike. Really good abilities to pressure angles, to play for post plant. Really, really strong agent. And I do tend to forget always his steam beacon's not bad, not good, it's just there, but you never know when you can get that rate of increase of fire much better for you. Next agent that I do have for you guys, how many minutes are we in? We're about 11 minutes into this video. So the next agent that I have for you guys is Sova. And initiators get info. Sova is the daddy of info gathering with the drone and recon dart. It's the simple plus, it's that simple. Plus, they're pretty much straightforward to use. No need to read your opponents when you call out your ability. So a lot of, I think, initiator play relies on you getting information for your team or flushing out particular corners with your abilities. Similar to what I'd say a while ago with Phoenix, but much more pronounced now. The thing about that is, you have to know where to throw out these abilities. And again, it's not as safe if you're still beginning. You might hit your teammates with a flash when it's Breach or Sky. You might stun your teammates with Breach. You might stun your teammates with Sky. It's not a good look. I think with Sova though, makes it much easier. You want to control an angle? Throw a recon dart. You want to slowly push up into a site? Use your Sova drone. So I feel like Sova, even though he's one of the older initiators that we have in the game, considering there's a couple of new ones now, he's still pretty much viable. And there might be maps that he's not as good, but if you're still learning the fundamentals of how to play an initiator, I feel like Sova still hits that sweet spot at being able to make things easier for you and your team without making any risky, like, oh, I flashed my teammates, don't want that to happen. Last up, for my Sentinel pick, if you are new to the role, if you're new to the game, I was thinking about two prospects, whether it was actually three. So I got Sage, Cypher, and Killjoy, and ultimately I actually went for Killjoy. Now Cypher, he's a great agent, very, very strong, nice use of his smokes plus the tripwires make it incredibly difficult for anybody to push into the site, but I feel like Killjoy does everything a tad bit better if you want that extra automation. Because for Cypher, you need to always be active with just using your abilities, right? But with Killjoy, if you use your turret, if you use your alarm bot, you're gonna just wait to have that line of sight of your abilities. When they start buzzing, when they start shooting, you'll immediately know when the opponent's there. And I guess I just prefer the ultimate of Killjoy a tad bit better than Cypher's, where Cypher has that neural theft, gives you a ping location around the map of to where your opponents are. I do prefer the Killjoy one, which at least allows you to retake an entire site or stop people from coming into the site if they don't destroy their ultimate with that lockdown. It's really good, really strong. And now, as I am frantically trying to finish this video already, my camera is about to overheat. Just want to thank you guys so much for tuning into this video. I know I don't have any graphics for you guys. It's all about that thought process. But literally a podcast that I did, but I did promise to myself I'm going to push out more videos for you guys to enjoy, and hopefully this one was somewhat of a eye-opener, especially for those who are still trying to learn what they want to get into in terms of playing Valorant. So with that said, thank you so much guys for tuning in. Hope you guys have a happy new year, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao and bye.